Every time I go out, they are ready to show out. Every time I go out, they are ready to show out. Every time I go out, and I always do this. Why? Why do I do this? I be blowing the boat, my guy. And now I need this to get right so we can show up and show out because it's time to do the party dance. And I need this channel to get right so everything else can get right. You know what I'm saying? KJ, Miss KJ is in the building. How you doing, sweetie? Say she missed the last two lives, but you wasn't missing this one. Hey, I don't blame you. This might be a good one. This might be a good one. A very, very good one. A very entertaining one at that. You know, depending on how we get it cracking, it might turn into an adventure, you know. But that's how we get down. We get down for real. And we just do our thug thizzle. Miss Smith, what's up? Welcome to the party, to the adventure. It get a little wild in here. I don't know if you've been in here before, but you know. Now that Shadur has been elevated to QB2, thank Kevin a little. He feel I told y'all that seat was gonna get a little high. Them cheers was gonna get a little loud. Them screams from the back, you starting to hear them in the front. And Kevin like, hey man, I gotta do what I gotta do. I gotta get off this seat. But he ain't off that seat. That seat is popping. Maya, what's up, love? Happy Friday to you. I love it. I love it. It is a beautiful Friday afternoon. It actually feels tremendously great here in Texas. You know, Miss Smith said, I watch you all the time. I just don't comment. Love your platform. Thank you. Thank you. Well, come on and join in on the party. Don't be shy. Told y'all when you come in the house, you must speak to people. Miss Maya is in the building. Jamaica is in the house. Y'all better understand. Jamaica is in the building. They ready to do the doggone thing. You know, them Jamaican brothers and sisters, you must respect them, or it is. I told y'all that Kevin Stefanski don't tighten up, don't get his thing together. He's gonna be a.
You about to lose your job.
That thing was getting kind of spooky over there for a minute, and he's starting to feel that heat. When you feel the heat, and we can feel the boogie. It is going down. Country boy is in the building. What's up, partner? See you aunties are in Jamaica on the islands. Jack Jackson. What's good? I'm telling y'all, it's getting kind of hot in Cleveland because the people want what the people want. And you're going to have to get the people what they want eventually. Eventually, you're going to have to do what's best for you. And what's best for you is getting Shedeur in his natural playing environment. Because you about to lose your job, dog. There she is. There she is. Miss Sparked Up. Shedeur is named QB2 starting week 6 against the Steelers. That is correct. Miss Sparked Up is also a member of the YouTube channel. So we appreciate her and her membership. Channel members will always be recognized in the chat. And also all super chats and super stickers will automatically get the recognition and read during the live stream, questions answered. The sport. Y'all know how this thing go. This ain't nothing new. Y'all done been in here before. Y'all know how we get this thing cracking. But since speaking about getting this thing cracking, y'all know we usually take our time, wait a few minutes, give everybody a chance to get in the building before we get this thing started. But I don't want to hold you. I don't want to take up too much of your day. Besides, I got to make another trip to Dallas. Yeah, about 7, 8 o'clock tonight. And I'm going to have to play in that traffic. It's going to be rough. Because Texas and Oklahoma are playing in the Cotton Bowl tomorrow, which means Dallas is full of people. And I don't want to go up there. But we going. So let's get this party started. Y'all ready? Let's go. What up, people? What's poppin'? Y'all know how we do. Before we get started, we got to give a shout out to you, the viewer, for taking the time out to watch this video. But while you're here, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to turn your post notification bell on, so you'll know when we doing things like this, like going live or one of them super videos drop. But you know we will not start any show, live stream, regular video, or none of that without giving a shout out to the beautiful ladies of the CU1Ts. And if you happen to see a CU1T in the chat or in the comment section, make sure you say what's up. But most of all, be respectful. Do not get out of line. Because one thing we don't want to have to do is find you out here in these YouTube streets and tighten you up. You know what I'm saying? But Shadur Sanders has calmly been named quarterback 2 for the upcoming game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. That don't mean Kevin Stefanski's out the hot seat. That don't mean we gonna believe any of those lies coming out of his mouth. But we gonna talk about it. Y'all ready to do the doggone thing? Hope you got your drink. Hope you got you a snack. Because I have neither. But we gonna do what we do. Welcome to the lunch table. I don't know what's up with that. That was weird. That was weird. And it is what it is. But we don't even care. Because Kevin Stefanski has let us know already.
Shedeur is ready to be your number 2 quarterback for this game?
Yeah, Shedeur will be the backup.
You're thinking in that.
Yeah, like I told you guys on Wednesday, I'm always thinking about our players and what's best for our players. And I want to make sure when it comes to young football players, particularly at the quarterback position, that you are intentional about your decision making. And that's really all it is. So excited for all of our guys.
With that being said, Shedeur Sanders is quarterback number 2 of the Cleveland Browns for the upcoming game in Pittsburgh against the Steelers on Sunday, which means we close. We headed that way. But can we trust it? I don't trust it. I don't believe Kevin Stefanski, and I don't like the way this situation was handled. Since the trade of Joe Flacco to the Cincinnati Bengals, little Dollar General, as you guys call him in my chat, Dylan Gabriel, has stepped up and become QB1 of the Cleveland Browns. With his first game in London on Sunday, we're going to call that the dink with no dunk game, because I hadn't seen a pass over 10 to 15 yards completed by Dylan Gabriel yet. Dylan Gabriel played a modest game. Kevin Stefanski called a modest game. Nobody was elated. Nobody was surprised. Nobody seemed to be unsure of Dylan Gabriel being able to handle his first game in London. Unlike me, after watching that game, I had some questions. And in today's video, I posed those questions about Kevin Stefanski, about the way that game was handled. Minnesota is known to have an overly aggressive defense. On Sunday, we didn't see that. That defense was vanilla as the Bluebell ice cream that's in my freezer currently. There were no disguises on defense. There was no exotic blitzes, no super stunts, no rush, no 4 or 5 man rush. It was 4 coming most of the game. And yet and still, all we saw was dinking and dunking from Dylan Gabriel. Lil Dylan was 19 of 33 for 190-something yards and 2 touchdowns on Sunday's game. But yet and still, I have questions. Where was the Minnesota defense that we heard so much about? Where was the Minnesota defense, that scary defense, that defense that frightens veteran offenses, that defense that frightens veteran quarterbacks, that defense that blitzes and throws QB's minds into shambles when they look across the front line and see them shifting and moving? And you get one look, and by the time you hike the ball, they're in a different formation. They're playing a different scheme. Where was that Minnesota defense? Because we didn't see that on Sunday. Brian Flores was so vanilla on Sunday, it was despicable, which makes me think some type of gentleman's agreement was taking place in London. Something happened to make Brian Flores pull his defense back and said, hey, we just gonna sit back and play the cut. We're not gonna do anything to rattle Dylan Gabriel. They only got 2 sacks on Sunday. They didn't send too many rushes. But my question is, what the hell happened? Why was Dylan Gabriel not flummoxed on Sunday? Why was he not pressured, extremely pressured on Sunday? What happened to the vaulted Minnesota defense? What happened to one of the best defensive coordinators in all of the NFL? He might not be that good of a head coach, but as a DC, he is absolutely fantastic. We didn't see it. We still looking for it. What happened? Somebody explain it to me. All we know is, all we heard all week was Brian Flores' defense is immaculate. He likes to disguise his blitzes. He likes to give you different looks on almost every different play. You'll see this when you walk up to the line. And by the time you get ready to hike the ball, the defense is completely different. You don't get that first look you saw. Where is it? Where is that defense? What happened? What? They left it over there at Big Ben while they was visiting? Was it still in Ireland with all the red-headed people? Was it over there? Did one of the leprechauns take your defense away while you was playing in Ireland because you tried to get to their pot of gold? Where was that vaunted Brian Flores defense on Sunday? Because it didn't show up. We didn't see it. We didn't see Dylan Gabriel running for his life. And you can't say because the offensive line was holding it. That offensive line is the weakest offensive line in NFL football. Not possible. So where was it? What happened? Kevin Stefanski is that great of an offensive coordinator, that great of a play caller that he kept Dylan Gabriel out of trouble? Nope, because you didn't even see Dylan Gabriel rotating in the pocket. You didn't even see them move in the pocket. He was just back there. So what happened to that super stutterlicious Minnesota defense? Because we ain't see it on Sunday. See, these are the questions that weren't asked on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Nobody, ESPN, Fox, all these doggone podcasts, nobody asked, where in the hell was Brian Flores' defense on Sunday? Yeah, y'all won the game. But where was that defense that we heard so much about? What happened to it? Because we didn't see it. We was waiting on it. We was waiting on all them pass rushes, all them sacks, all them pressures. We didn't see that defense. It didn't show up. But we heard about it. That's all that was talked about leading up to this game. It's going to be rough for Dylan Gabriel going up against this Brian Flores Minnesota defense, especially in London, across the pond. He's never seen a defense like this before. Man, that defense was so vanilla. You need to add some cookies just to give it some flavor. Because it was soft, like it had been sitting out the freezer for about 10 minutes. Almost milky like. But ain't nobody asked them questions. It was something going on in London. Brian Flores and Kevin Stefanski probably didn't got together, had them a pint at the local pub. Oh yeah, I know what it is over there because that was my stomping grounds when I was a younger individual. London, Paris, Spain, Ireland, Greece, Venice, all them places, yeah, them was my stomping grounds. I grew up in Europe. Yeah, all those places, I had plenty of fun. And I grew up when it wasn't, they loved them some brothers over there, you know. I grew up when brothers was exotic. I was from the States. They call it the world over there. That was just like me being from Australia coming to America. I was exotic. I had this old country ass accent, and boy, them German girls, them Spanish girls, them Greek girls. I was dating this Romanian lady, and we went to her house to have dinner with her family. Mind you, I'm 17, I'm fly, got fresh Adidas suit on, shell toe, fat laces. And here comes a young black man. I'm talking about waves just spinning, swimming. And that woman's father looked at me like I was the plague. He just don't know what me and his daughter had been doing. But all I'm saying is things get kind of strange in Europe when you get over there. And we want to know what happened to that Minnesota defense when they was in Europe. Because we ain't see it. You know what I'm saying? That's all I want to know. Trade out with the 199 super chat says Flores looked at the Browns offense as a joke. Now that I don't doubt, Trade out. That is a very distinct possibility. But why would you not want to put pressure on a rookie quarterback? You know what I'm saying? Why did you not want to pressure a rookie quarterback in his first ever start in an NFL game? Why would you? What happened? You pressure everybody else. You are heralded for your defensive acumen. And in this one game, this special game, this game in London, in Tottenham Stadium, one of the biggest soccer stadiums in Europe, holds over 100 and some thousand people. Where in the hell was the pressure on Dylan Gabriel? Because we didn't see it. Is all I'm saying. Selmo, I saw this. I know what you're talking about, Big Snacks. I was in Germany in 1988, and they treated us like a king. I was in the army. Hey, I was over there in 88, bruh. We moved to Germany in 1985. Wiesbaden. Came in Frankfurt. Moved to Wiesbaden. I graduated from General H.H. Honor High School. Wiesbaden, Germany. I lived in Stuttgart. I lived in Ramstein. But eventually, I graduated from my original school, which was Wiesbaden. When I got there, I was in middle school. When I left, I was a grown-ass man. Feeling it. Had the adventures of our lifetime. In the 80s and 90s in Germany, life was great. The mark rate was outstanding. I think the highest it got was like $4.85 to $1. You could take $100 and be a kingpin in Germany. In Germany, you could take the train and be in London in 4 hours. In Germany, you can take the train and go to different countries. I went to Holland. I was in the Netherlands. We went to the Swiss Alps for holidays and go skiing. I had a lifetime of adventures my teenage and early 20s when I was a young man before I went to college. You understand me? That's why when I tell you, when you see me make these videos and I tell you that life in Europe was tremendous, it was. Because being a black man in the 80s and 90s in Central Europe was amazing. I was in Europe when the Berlin Wall came down. I was there for a lot of historical things. When we first got to Europe, there was a lot of terrorist attacks. People were going missing. Things were bad. But after that first year, being an American in Europe was amazing. you were golden, especially if you were black. But now, since Europe has adopted this Western culture and the hatred that has been spewed out from the US against black people, it has traveled that way. Being African in Europe used to be cool. You were accepted. You were loved. People invited you into their home. I'll tell you a story. When I was in high school, we had moved out of military housing. We had moved into the mountains of Wallerstein. And we had a 3-story home in this tiny little German village. Only black family in the village. And we were loved. In Germany, especially in the wintertime, milk, beer, soda, water, all of that is kept outside on your balconies. In Germany, kids are raised on beer. They start out on beer milk. There's literally milk in the beer in the milk for some kids if you want to raise your child that way. In Germany, you could be walking down the street, and if you happen to look up and see a naked lady walk across her balcony, it was what it was. That was just normal. In Germany, you was walking down the street, and in my neighborhood, all the teenagers and all the kids gathered in one big empty parking lot. It was a half a block from my house, but you would see all the German kids come up with their scooters and their motorcycles and their skateboards and their regular bikes, and we just sit out there. My friend, his father built him a clubhouse for us to hang out at in the wintertime. I'm talking a literal clubhouse, an entire building with tables and chairs and heat and air conditioning and pool tables and a bar. The bar was important. But during the summer, we would hang out in this great big empty parking lot. Across the street was the basketball and tennis courts. I played a lot of basketball there before I tore these knees up. I was a superstar in basketball. And then his father, back then, they delivered eggs, milk, beer, soda. They would just sit it outside your door, and you sit your empty stuff out there, and they bill it. Then they bill you for it, and they come by, get their money, and go about their business. This was normal. So his father would know on Saturdays, about 8 or 9 o'clock, that's where we hanging out at. And you'd see the beer truck roll by, and he'd stop. And he'd roll out 2 kegs of beer, sit them up on the barrels that we had. And that was for us, just to sit out there and drink and conversate and bullshit and have fun. I had a lady and her daughter that lived at the end of our village. Nice little house, nice little garden. And they would invite me over. Say, Rick, you come over and hang out anytime. You don't even have to knock. Just come on in the house. Your family. Come on in. These were just people. This is the way they were. I still keep in contact with that family to this day. If y'all don't know, they're my people. But then my other buddy who drove my bus and took me, my brother, my sister to school every day. It really wasn't no bus. It was like a little minivan, you know, with the slide door, side door, you know, like the little bubble vans y'all see on TV. Name was Robert, black guy, African dude. He had his little house down there, and this was the whole village. Anybody was walking in people's houses and having myself at our house, because my dad didn't play that shit. You walk in there, you getting cussed out, you might get the business, because my dad, we don't do that. But for us, as the only black kids in the village, this was amazing. Where they do this at? Where you ain't show you this much love at? But I used to go down to Robert's house on the weekend and just jump on his moped, the little motorcycle, and just ride it. Do whatever I want to do. Take it back. I ain't even have to fill it up. Just drop it off. Walk back up to the house. Sometimes I ain't even drop it off. I just leave it at the house. He come by there, pick it up, put it in his van, and take it back to his house. This was how I grew up, without racism, without hatred, without those things. But I came home every summer. And every summer, being in Alabama, visiting my grandmother and my aunts, I get that hate. Because my grandmother owned her own business. She had a little power in the city, you know, and we were amongst a bunch of white people. I hung out with them, went to school with my grandmother, taught at Birmingham Southern. She taught a calculus class at the college, at the junior college at night. And I'd hang out on the campus, ride my skateboard up and down the hills, go in the class, sit in the back of the class, and play around in the summertime. But it was night and day from when I was here in the US than being in Europe. In Europe, I was free. I could travel anywhere. Restrictions weren't many. Cigarettes you could buy out of a machine. Beer you could buy out of a machine. In Germany, on lunch, if you have a job, you are permitted to have 2 beers with your lunch and go back to work. Because it's like that. Spring break here, my friends went to Destin, went to Miami, went to down here in Galveston, went to Carolina to the beaches. Me, I went to Spain for spring break. I went to Greece for spring break. I went to Portugal for spring freaking break. My life was different from a lot of my friends. If I wanted to, I used to go to Paris on the weekend and hang out and come back to Germany on Sunday and go back to school because I had friends in Paris. So I get on the train, go to Paris, come on back on Sunday, and it was all gravy there. But that's neither here nor there. That was my life. My life was beautiful when I was in Europe. Selmo Fudd know what I'm talking about. Beer was good. Life was good. Smoking hash was the bomb. But back to the Shedeur Sanders hate. Enough of my life. Y'all get to understand how I live, how I currently live. You know, I was raised like And real bad in my headphones. But now we back. But yeah, looking overseas was a great time. I'll tell y'all more stories on another day. But back to Shedeur Sanders and this hatred and this disrespect that Kevin Stefanski and the Browns are passing out. So, Shadur Sanders is named QB2 on today. On today. Kevin Stefanski said on Wednesday that I have to take some time and figure out what I'm going to do later on. Why? My first question was, what are you taking time? Dylan Gabriel, there are no other quarterbacks on the roster but Shedeur Sanders. No Flacco is gone. Any pick the thing up. There are only two quarterbacks on the roster. So why does it take to the end of the week to decide Shedeur Sanders should be quarterback number 2? Y'all hear me? Y'all got me now? Audio good? Tell me my audio. Let me see. Talk to me. Audio good or what? You back in the building? Is the audio good now, ladies and gentlemen? Turn the mic up. The mic sound nice. Check one. I know what it is. I don't know why. Because I ain't getting nothing out of here. It's always something with this live stream, though. All right. Mic should be good now. I had to drop something off to make sure that we was good. Somewhat. Okay. Now we in the building. See? Y'all said my mic went out, and I'm looking and I don't see my meter moving, so I knew something was wrong. I see my meter moving on my screen, but my meter is not moving on my audio card. So something is something, but we gonna get that together after we do all this. But back to Shedeur being QB2. The question is, why did it take so long for Kevin Stefanski to come to grips that Shadur Sanders was going to be QB2 when there were only two quarterbacks on the roster? Bailey Zappi is not on the roster. Bailey Zappi is on the practice squad. He is not on the 53-man roster to play. So my question is, what the hell are you doing? What are you waiting for? What excuse could you possibly have to say Shedeur is not quarterback 2? See, I've been watching all of these pundits all week say, well, they could elevate Bailey Zappi to quarterback 2, which would be a safer route for Shedeur. So even if Dylan Gabriel got hurt, he wouldn't have to come in the game. Wrong. But they don't want Shadur Sanders to come in the game. They're trying to protect him. They don't want him to come in the game with a Dylan Gabriel's game plan, because you only get so many plays as QB2 because the game plan is built around Dylan Gabriel. We don't care. We don't care. because we know what he is as a quarterback. We know what Shedeur is as. Unlike most of these people that are reporting, we've seen it, we've watched it time and time and time and time again. We've seen it. Remember that first preseason game when Dylan Gabriel was getting first team reps and Joe Flacco was getting first team reps? Kenny Pickett was already hurt, but he was still getting first team reps, still getting second team reps. While Shadur Sanders was over there working out with the 3s and the 4s and the people that don't play no more. Remember that? And you remember what happened in that week that they were playing on a Friday, and Thursday, Shedeur, guess what, buddy? You gonna get the start this week. Wasn't no preparation for that game, but he went out there and balled out. You gave him some better players, and he gave you a better result. Matter of fact, they scored 21 points that game. You know what ain't happened this season? Cleveland ain't scored 21 points yet in 6 games. In 6 games, they still ain't bust 21 points. Man, the Cleveland Browns haven't bust 20 points in almost 20 games, I think. So, seems to be a problem with Kevin Stefanski. The problem is Joe Flacco is starting Sunday against the Green Bay Packers for the Cincinnati Bengals. How is Joe Flacco going to look Sunday? Is he going to look different, or is he going to look the same when it comes to playing in that offensive scheme? And they're going to use the excuse, yeah, he got better receivers, but the offensive line still sucks in Cincinnati. So if Joe Flacco looks better in Cincinnati than he did in Cleveland, that's an indictment on Kevin Stefanski and his offense. But some people in Cleveland, like Kevin Reuter, think they are handling Shadur Sanders just right.
Or any part of you that agrees with Jason Lloyd, where his thought was, if making the backup, might as well just get rid of him. Let's just end this.
No, I think that the Browns are handling this for once. I think they're handling this rather maturely with Shedeur. They're trying to bring him along. And look, you're talking to somebody who has ripped them to shreds over the years for rushing quarterbacks to the field and for not getting anything out of young quarterbacks. I'm not going to sit here and be a hypocrite and rip them because they're not rushing this guy to the field. Yes, you want to see him. I want to see him. Anthony wants to see him. The national media wants. Everyone wants to see Shadur Sanders. I get it. He means a lot of money for a lot of people, potentially a lot of engagement for a lot of people. But I am willing to give the Browns an opportunity here to do this the right way, bring him along slowly. He's a 5th-round pick. It's not like they're holding back their 1st-round pick. The Green Bay Packers, oh, by the way, they have sacked quarterbacks for 2 and 3 years. And it seems to work out well for them. So I'm not going to kill the Browns because we're sitting here in week 6 and Shadur Sanders might not be ready to be the backup quarterback.
The Green Bay Packers had a plan. The Green Bay Packers also had a Hall of Fame quarterback already playing. See, people try to lump the good in with the bad. You can't lump bad, sorry-ass Cleveland Browns in with championship Super Bowl winning Hall of Fame quarterback having Green Bay Packers. Because Aaron Rodgers was behind Brett Favre for 3 years. One, Brett Favre didn't want to go nowhere, and Green Bay couldn't make it. You don't know why? Because he had won a Super Bowl, won some MVPs, he had been to a bunch of championships. What you gonna do? Nothing. Sit down and you wait. And then when he started falling off, and Aaron Rodgers was about to come up for a new contract, and Green Bay decided we're not going to pay him no more money before we see what we have developed, before we see how good he completely is. Brett Favre, you got to go. And he went to Minnesota. And the legend of Aaron Rodgers was born. Now, in return, Green Bay won a bunch of games. They also won another Super Bowl. And Aaron Rodgers did the same thing to Jordan Love that Brett Favre did to him. He didn't want to go. They had to force him out. But how can Cleveland, how can you, Darryl Roeder, as a reporter, compare what Cleveland is doing to Shedeur to what Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers did to each other? There is no comparison because Cleveland doesn't have a good quarterback. Cleveland has never had a good quarterback besides Baker Mayfield since they've been back in Cleveland since 1999. Dillon Gabriel is actually the 42nd quarterback to start for the Cleveland Browns because you have to actually charge Joe Flacco twice because he left and came back. Same person is still another quarterback. He was gone for a year and then you re-signed him. They count Dillon Gabriel as 41. He's 42. Just because Joe Flacco is the same person, he wasn't on the same contract.
You got to chill.
But those two teams, you can't compare them because Green Bay had an actual head coach who drafted good players, drafted a good quarterback, played in championship games, and won. Cleveland ain't done that. Cleveland is still looking for magic in a bottle. And Dillon Gabriel ain't it. Sorry. Don't mean to be that guy. But he ain't that guy either. You know what I'm saying? Now, this guy, he might be that guy. He just might not be that guy for Cleveland. Because Cleveland, as a franchise, is horrible when it comes to treating their players with the right respect. Paying their players. Their owner is cheap. They just traded their cornerback for another cornerback. Why? Because he was playing on his 5th-year option. And they didn't want to pay him next year. They traded him for a cornerback who has 2 more years left on his contract. And they don't have to pay him any more money. This franchise is run in the most obscene way possible. Some in Cleveland say they just put the pressure on Dillon Gabriel. Shedeur Sanders said, hey, I'm out here doing my doggone thing. I'm living my life through my teammates. I'm living my dreams, watching them live their dreams, and I'm excited for them to get their opportunity to play. But the rest of the world is mad because right now we're talking about Shedeur Sanders, and he's just a 3rd-string quarterback.
Anytime players, that I came in with and that I spent a lot of time with, they get moved up and they're able to have a vital role in this offense and this piece. I get extremely excited for, and I'm playing through them. You know what I mean? I'm excited just as them every time they get out there and run a route and everything, because it's just amazing that, you start somewhere and then you're able to evolve and get to a different level and go out there and actually be able to execute it. Just like Dylan, like whenever he got moved up to QB1, I'm like, that's lit, bro. You got to make sure you handle everything the right way and, just continue being him. So, like for me, overall, I'm just happy. I'm excited that everybody is living their dreams, and I'm living my dream also. Come every day and be able to work.
Exactly. It's about showing up. It's about doing your job. And Kevin Stefanski has found a way every week to prevent Shedeur Sanders from doing his job. Excuse after excuse. Kevin Stefanski wants to be able to take credit for Shedeur Sanders. Once Shadur Sanders gets on that field and shines, Kevin Stefanski wants to be able to say, hey, excuse me, hello, that was me. I did that right there. When we already know that Shadur Sanders is ready for this moment and has been ready for this moment. He showed you in the first preseason game when you tried to throw him to the Wolves and he came back leading the pack. That's the problem. Everything they have done to try to humble Shadur Sanders, to try to make him seem like he's not ready, to try to make him seem like he is a player that is uncontrollable, has failed. They tried to show you at ESPN Cleveland that Dylan Gabriel and Joe Flacco was the better quarterback. So they invented the quarterback stat tracker in preseason, in OTAs, in rookie minicamp to say that we are showing you on paper that Shadur Sanders is not better than Dylan Gabriel, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett. All wrong. All wrong. Come preseason, Shadur Sanders ain't got no reps with the ones, haven't been working out with the second team, been working out with 3s and 4s, throwing the trash cans, throwing to staff members that don't dress out, regular trainers and people who are available to catch a football. Week 1 of preseason, go play football, Shadur. Show us what you got. And he balls out yet again. Oh, week 2? Oh, he hurt. We ain't gonna let him play. We gotta get Dylan in there. Dylan didn't get to play the week 1 because we thought Shadur was gonna screw it up and we was gonna be able to write him off. So week 2, Shadur hurt. We go Dylan, you up. And Dylan throws a pick 6. And Dylan fumbles the football. And Dylan dinks and dunks his way down the field. And I told you the only way Dylan looked good is in the 2-minute offense. And Sunday, the only way Dylan looked good playing football was in the 2-minute offense. Why are y'all not listening to me? I keep telling y'all what it is. I know ball. I coach ball. My sons play ball. I played ball. Hell, not professionally, but I was all right. But I know ball. And they rolled Dylan out there. He looked all right. He still made the 2 biggest mistakes you don't make playing football. A pick 6 and a quarterback fumble. Did both of them. But ain't nobody remember that. Till this day, you have never heard a commentator bring that game up. bring those mistakes up. You have never heard not one person remind you that Dylan Gabriel in his first preseason game threw a pick six, had a forced fumble, and almost threw another pick six. You ain't heard none of that. But what do you hear about Shedeur? That third game, dog. Ooh, that third game was so bad. Ooh, all them quarterback sacks. Mind you, he was really only sacked 3 times. 2 of them sacks, he ran out of bounds himself behind the line of scrimmage. Come on, dog. Ooh, he was so bad. He was so awful. He wasn't ready for the moment. But mind you, they're not going to remind you that he was out there with people that will never, ever, ever in life play in the NFL. That won't make a practice squad. That ain't playing NFL flag football. They probably working for me right now. Or working for a company like mine. They're not going to tell you that. Only thing they're going to tell you is Shadur Sanders had passed 5 sacks. He was 3 for 6 on completion percentage, and he didn't look that good. He was holding the ball too long. He was doing it. We saw the same thing we saw in college. That is what you're going to hear over and over and over again when it comes to Shedeur Sanders. But Dylan Gabriel, the processor, the supercomputer, the dink and dunk king, he knows how to process. He can see the field. He can read the defense. He gets the ball out of his hand fast. He throw the ball 4 yards a piece, dog. Come on, man. I need my Gucci symbol there. Come on, dog. Come on, man. That's what we do. They need to stop. You know what I'm saying? Why? Why are we getting that? But some say making Shedeur quarterback number 2 is putting a lot of pressure on Dylan Gabriel. And that's not fair.
Dylan Gabriel is the starting quarterback against the Steelers this week. Shedeur Sanders is the backup. No more emergency stuff for him. So he has been elevated to the number 2 position. The greatest position in Cleveland sports history, backup quarterback, because everybody wants you. Next week, well, and forget about this week even, because I mean, it's in Pittsburgh and Steeler fans are going to be Steeler fans. When they return back home, as we were just talking to Fearless Leader, Dylan Gabriel will be sitting, if he was being quarterback for the Browns as a starting quarterback.
Now, why
you know where we're going with this?
Because
it's true.
Why
it's just true.
Are you doing this?
It's true.
Who wins? Oh God!
They just put a lot of pressure on Dylan Gabriel. They did, because next week let's not forget, right? This is a team that told Joe Flacco to go pack in the first time so they could bring Deshaun Watson in and have a clean runway, so there wouldn't be any debris on the runway. There wouldn't be fans off on the side screaming and yelling, going, "Oh, why isn't Joe playing? Joe's the one that helped us get to the playoffs." Blah 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 blah. So they cleared the runway on that. What they did to Dylan Gabriel today by making Shedeur the backup, which I'm good with. Let me finish my point.
Okay, please finish.
All they did to Dylan was, let's just say it's 80 degrees out, 90 degrees out, and you go sit in your car and you've got a little extra coin and you've got the heated seats and you see the little markers off on the side. Yeah, there's 1, just mildly warms your seat a little bit. 2, it's a little bit warmer, but you're not sweating. 3, it's getting a little crispy. And 4, you're sweating. And you're sweating the bad sweat, right? You're like, I'm driving and this isn't good. Because I got to tell you, whatever kind of car he's driving next week, if things don't go right, it's like sitting down on that chair in your car when you know you're going to start sweating because the seat is going to be hot because the fans are going to be screaming for Shedeur. That is going to happen at the next home game.
All I can tell you is the Cleveland Browns ain't beat the Pittsburgh Steelers at home in 21 years. There is a list of every quarterback that has took this L in Pittsburgh, not in Cleveland, in Pittsburgh, from 2003 to 2025. Is a list of L's. Tim Couch, Jeff Garcia, who went on to become a hell of a quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. Trent Dilfer, who went on to win a Super Bowl for the Baltimore Ravens with an vaunted Ravens defense with Ray Lewis and them. Derek Anderson, Bruce Gronkowski, Derek Anderson again, Colt McCoy, Thaddeus Lewis, Jason Campbell, Auburn quarterback, sorry as hell. Brian Hoyer, awful. Johnny Manziel, horrible. RG3, he was all right. Deshaun Kaiser, ill. Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson, Jameis Winston, and now little Dylan. 21 years. 21 years. And you think Pittsburgh ain't bringing the heat to Sunday? Because Minnesota didn't bring no heat. But Pittsburgh gonna bring that heat, is what I'm telling you. I want to see what Dylan can do. I am actually looking forward because I want him to win. I want him to play good because it don't matter if he win or lose. Come game 5 or 6, Dylan Gabriel got to take a seat. And you got to give it up to Shedeur. Because Jimmy Haslam done told you, we got to see what these rookies got. But I want to see. Last week, you didn't get a true visual of what Dylan Gabriel was. Well, we know he's the dink and dunk king. Ain't no doubt about that. We ain't talking about dunking donuts. We talking about dink and dunking the football down the field. Will he survive on Sunday? Because Pittsburgh is head hunting. You think J.J. Watt ain't come around that corner gonna lay you down? Or is he hurt still? I don't know. I need to check that out. But what I'm telling you is, it ain't gonna be safe in Pittsburgh on Sunday. I've been in that stadium. I've seen them terrible towers. And I've been there when they beat the brakes off of Cleveland. They don't like them people. I keep telling y'all my brother's a lifelong Cleveland Browns fan. I don't know why. And my partner, who he was in Germany with, he is a lifelong Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So we get together on those games and we go to those games. Just like when Pittsburgh played Cowboys, especially in Dallas. Oh, we go. It's a good time. But I'm telling y'all, it ain't going to be no easy way on Sunday. And I'm hoping Dylan Gabriel don't get hurt. But I'm telling you, on Sunday, Pittsburgh ain't pulling no punches because they genuinely do not like this team. Really though. On the for real, they don't like this team. But some people seem to think that Kevin Stefanski got to prove himself.
To assume he's bad now, because for the desperate franchise that the Browns are, for him to be this far back, this far behind, I got to assume he's bad.
I disagree.
We're the Browns. We need a quarterback
we saw Dylan Gabriel. They didn't trust him to throw the ball 7 yards down the field. And yet, Shedeur Sanders isn't even getting a whiff.
No.
Like, I'm assuming he's bad.
See? Y'all thought I was lying. Ain't even been 10 yards thrown down the field. He didn't throw the ball in no damn body. I can't wait till Sunday.
I disagree. I don't think that Kevin dislikes him the way that another show said. I don't think he dislikes him personally. I don't think that he's bad.
Idea.
I don't think he's... I want to see where the Browns are at on... Because I told you, when you lose this many games, it wears on my trust. So I want to be able to trust you and say that, okay...
If the Browns thought he was good, Kenny, he would be getting way more in the way of opportunities.
If the Browns thought he was ready, there's a difference in ready and good. We did this before with other quarterbacks.
Was Jackson Dart ready?
I think that they finally figured out that he was ready to go with the offense.
They kind of just threw him to the wolves. If you watch the way they're playing, they're not babying him. They're not babying him. He is allowed to do things that you would never allow a rookie quarterback to do.
Hey, but remember, this is what. Let's go with what the NFL thinks and not what we think. The NFL thought that he was a first-round draft pick. The NFL thought that Shedeur was a fifth-round draft pick. No matter what any of us want to make up off the top of our heads.
We've debated that, yeah.
Okay, fine. But they thought he was a fifth-round draft pick. So they obviously are going to trust, the Giants are going to trust Jackson Dart before that the Browns trust, or anybody, trust Shedeur Sanders. That's the natural order of things. I don't think they think he's bad. I don't believe that he's bad. I just don't think he's not ready. I just think he's not ready.
If he isn't the backup quarterback this week in Pittsburgh, guys, they think he stinks.
Why would he?
They do.
No, why would you put him in a bad position?
Guys can play now. Guys have, especially with that kind of college experience that Shedeur has. Multiple teams. He started. He was under the microscope, under the lights, playing big games, national television, getting massive TV ratings.
You've learned nothing.
They are not giving him a whiff. And if he is backing up Bailey Zappi this week, the Browns think Shedeur stinks. They think he sucks.
You've learned nothing.
Hey, you can't argue with logic. Even though I think Kevin Stefanski is just scared of the outcome of Shedeur Sanders, I think that Kevin Stefanski is paranoid and knows that Shadur Sanders will be better than Dylan Gabriel. But what is he going to do? Kevin Stefanski is about to lose that locker room. They are going to turn on him because the defense is wonderful. And they want to win more than the 3 games that they won last year. With Dylan Gabriel as your starting quarterback, it's going to be hard. Even in one of the least favorite games when Miami comes to Cleveland next week, they're probably not going to win that game. And Kevin Stefanski was caught off guard when Joe Flacco was traded. Like I told you, Andrew Berry is pushing the narrative forward. He was tired of Joe Flacco. But I originally think Cincinnati called for Shedeur Sanders, and Andrew Berry was like, oh no, but you can have Joe. You're not getting Shedeur, but you can have Joe, because Joe got to go anyway. You give us a 5th, we'll give you a 6. But that original phone call was for Shedeur Sanders. It wasn't for Joe Flacco. I'm telling you some things. Just like I told you Cincinnati was going to be calling. I'm telling you what I'm telling you. Because Cincinnati ain't the only team that has called the Cleveland Browns looking for Shedeur Sanders. They know what they got. They are not stupid. Andrew Berry is telling him, look, man, we got to get this show on the road. Because if not, we keep getting these phone calls, and pretty soon I'm going to get one of them Godfather deals. I'm going to give you an offer that you can't refuse. He going to get one of them Godfather deals. And Shedeur going to be out the window. And Shedeur is going to go somewhere else. Learn their playbook. Get their starting position in less than 2 weeks. And Kevin Stefanski is going to be fired by the end of the season because once again, you had a star quarterback and you let him go. Hence, Baker Mayfield is in Tampa Bay tearing everybody's head off. Ain't even playing with y'all down there in Tampa. Out there blowing teams out the box. 4 fourth quarter comebacks. 4-1 on the season. And that was our franchise quarterback that you let go. Now he down there shining in one of the weakest conferences in NFL football. He in the same division as the Atlanta Falcons, the New Orleans Saints, the Carolina Panthers. And they gonna win it every year. Playoffs guaranteed. Is what we saying. And you, Kevin Stefanski, that's your fault. We had him. But you didn't want him. Now you got Dylan Gabriel. You got your man. Nobody else's guy. That's all you. Dylan Gabriel is all Kevin Stefanski. He don't ball out. Then Shadur steps up to the plate. The GM, the owner done already told you. That's Andrew Berry's pick. And you think Andrew Berry ain't going to stand up there and poke his chest out? Like, you didn't want him, Kevin. I wanted him. You told me not to get him. I said I was going to get him. I done picked Shedeur Sanders. I done picked all these other rookies we got. Dylan Gabriel is yours. You wanted him. You wanted to get him in the 3rd round when he would have been there in the 6th. When we could have got an offensive lineman. But you wanted Dylan Gabriel. Now look at you. And they're going to say, excuse me, Mr. Stefanski. I know we just extended your contract and all. But what your buyout clause looking like? What your buyout clause looking like, sir? How much that is? Let me holler at you. Tell your people to call my people so we can discuss. Because I need somebody who can perform under pressure. And they're going to get Kevin Stefanski ass clean up out of Cleveland. Because I'm telling you, if it don't happen this week, in a couple of weeks, Shadur Sanders will be taking the field. And it won't be no dink. Did y'all see Deion say, son? You know, they do a little dinking and dunking. Don't be doing that. Deion told him, don't do that dinking. And you know, they like dinking. They okay with it. Take the check down. Deion said they okay with it in Cleveland. Just take the check down. Deion a fool, boy. He in there having his 16th surgery. And he's still sending shots. Just take the check down. Just take the check down, son. Oh, my. It is crazy. Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry ain't getting along. There's a divide. There's a split. They don't see eye to eye. Kevin Stefanski wanted to keep Joe Flacco. He wanted to play him as many games as he thought he could get away with losing before he had to put Dylan Gabriel in there, which he was hoping was to be about 9 or 10. And then we can slide Dylan Gabriel in there around week 11, 12. let him finish out the season, and we ain't even got to see Shedeur. Didn't work out like that. I told you, tell guys your plans if you want to make him laugh. But those two are at a big crossroads. And what are they going to do?
Oh, it's clearly a disconnect. And I'm not quite sure whether or not they're going to get on the same page, that being the general manager, Andrew Berry, and the head coach, Kevin Stefanski. And I go back to the optics of the war room for the Cleveland Browns when they took Shedeur Sanders. You saw this icy stare down from both Stefanski and Berry. And, Evan, we all took that to mean that Shedeur Sanders was a pick that both of them were against, and that maybe, just maybe, Jimmy Haslam put his thumb on the scale and got involved in football decisions. But based on what we've been hearing and the speculation around the Cleveland Browns quarterback room, specifically with the rookies, it's clear that Dylan Gabriel is Kevin Stefanski's guy and Shedeur Sanders is Andrew Berry's guy. We have the versus between the general manager and the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. This might be the first time in this regime's tenure where you actually see a little bit of daylight between them, because every major decision, including the big swing that they took to trade for and pay Deshaun Watson, everybody has been in lockstep. This feels like the first moment where there's a fissure, where there is a fraction in that working relationship, and we're watching it play out in real time on the field.
That is correct. We are watching little Dylan do the most extreme, like dink and dunk the ball down the field. It's crazy. It's crazy to watch this play out in real time. It's crazy to watch Shadur Sanders get this hate in real time. It's crazy to think that your head coach, for some reason, dislikes you this much that he would literally put his job in jeopardy to keep you off the field, simply because he wants to be right. We shall see. But anyway, I gotta get out of here. My daughter just texted me, and we got some things going down. Oh, I hate it. But I gotta go. I appreciate all y'all for hanging out. It's been a beautiful, beautiful stream. Y'all know we back up tomorrow. You know, tomorrow's Saturday. And I don't know what's up with G. Bush. I got to hit him up. We've been talking, but we ain't been trying to put nothing together. You know, but I know y'all been asking me about it. We going to work on it. We going to see when we can put something together again for y'all. Because I know y'all love that combination of me and G. Bush throwing bows and hitting y'all with these haymakers off the top. But anyway, man, I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate all y'all, all my CU aunties for stepping in, hanging out. Carolyn Hood, Brown Girl, Thaif, you know, everybody. I see all of y'all. Lorenzo, all the players. Maria is in the building. We know Selmo is in the building. AI Lakers is in the building. Claude Marshall is in the building. All y'all. T-Rilla, Ringo, all of y'all. Detroit Gemini with her beautiful self is in the building. Miss Brown is in the building. I'm telling y'all, I appreciate all y'all for coming and hanging out, and all the new people that are here. If you're not a member of the YouTube channel, you can click that join button to become a member, and we got some things that's going to pop off. But anyway, make sure y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank y'all very, very much for coming out and hanging out. I got to go be super dad again, and I don't mind. I'm going to holler at y'all. We'll see y'all on the next one, which is tomorrow. Peace.